In this video, we're going to look at using fundamental identities to help us solve trigonometric equations. So let's do a quick review of our three Pythagorean identities. We have sine squared theta plus cosine squared theta equal to 1. That's a 1. We have 1 plus tangent squared theta equal to secant squared theta. And we have 1 plus cotangent squared theta equal to cosecant squared theta. Now, these are three of our Pythagorean identities, but any arrangement of these is also an identity. And we're actually going to be looking at a rearrangement of this. And if we take this equation up here and solve for sine squared theta, by subtracting the cosine squared theta to the other side, we have another identity that indicates sine squared theta is equivalent to 1 minus cosine squared theta. So let's go back to the equation. One of the things that you really want to make sure that you consider in solving trigonometric equations is that you're working in all the same trig function. That might be one place to start if you're not sure where to begin. So we have both a cosine theta and a sine squared theta, and because we have a Pythagorean identity for this, we're going to replace sine squared theta with what it's equivalent to, and then what that will do for us, it will give us one equation with all the same trig function. So I'm going to rewrite this, and I'm going to substitute that identity 1 minus cosine squared theta in for sine squared theta, and I'm just going to simplify this equation. What I'm going to get when I'm done is another quadratic form. And I'm not going to do substitution, I'm just going to go right in and factor. So I'm going to add that 2 cosine squared theta to the other side. I have that 3 cosine theta. I'm going to subtract 2 and set that equal to 0. So I'm going to go in and factor this. Oh, that's a 1. And start solving my little small simple trig equations. So from this factor, I'm going to get cosine of theta equal to negative 1/2. And then from this factor, I'll get cosine theta equal to negative 1. So up here, for the cosine theta equal to negative 1/2, I'm going to use the idea, again, that our cosine is negative in the second and third quadrant. My reference angle is going to be pi over 3. And so theta for this equation is going to be 2 pi over 3. I'm losing control of my pen here. 2 pi over 3 and 4 pi over 3. For the second part here, cosine is 1 at 0 radians, so that's going to be the other value. For theta, that makes this true. So before I finish, though, I want to, if you take a peek at that example, I want you to look at independently. You have actually choices here. So the equation is 3 cosine squared theta minus sine squared theta equal to 0. There are actually 3 different methods to solve this equation. I'm going to let you play. I do want you to recall, and you're probably going to need this regardless, but just a side note, when you're solving an equation like x squared equal to 3, when you take the principal root of both sides, you're really going to get plus or minus root 3. So just be aware that you're going to have to remember that plus or minus issue. So 3 different methods of solving this example here. Play with it and see what you come up with. Definitely, use your calculator to check your results and see that you got all of the solutions. Good luck.